Just like you, I also think family will protect you when you're older. That's what I believed for 67 years, until my 8-year-old grandson whispered 4 words at Christmas dinner that exposed my son's plan to steal everything. The recording I made 3 days later would put someone in handcuffs, but first, they had to see the sign. If you are watching this, kindly subscribe and let me know where you are watching from, and I hope that you're safe wherever you are. My name is Frank Thompson, and I'm 67 years old. December 10th started like any other Christmas dinner at my son's house. I drove across town to David's place carrying presents for my grandson Tommy. The winter air bit at my face as I walked up the driveway. Inside, the smell of roasted turkey filled the house. My daughter-in-law Rebecca greeted me at the door with her perfect smile. "Frank? So good to see you," she said, taking my coat. I'd been looking forward to this dinner for weeks. These moments with Tommy were precious. Since my wife Margaret passed 3 years ago, family dinners were the only times I didn't feel the emptiness of that big house echoing around me. Tommy ran up and hugged my legs. "Grandpa." 8 years old, bright eyes, Margaret's smile. We sat down to eat. Rebecca had outdone herself. Turkey, mashed potatoes, green beans, rolls. David poured wine. Normal conversation flowed around the table. Work, school, the upcoming holidays. Then it happened. Tommy needed help cutting his turkey. I leaned over with my knife and fork, showing him how to angle the blade. That's when he whispered in my ear. "Grandpa, I heard Daddy and Mommy talking. They said after Christmas they're going to make you leave your house and take it." My hand froze mid-cut. The boy looked up at me with innocent confusion, not understanding what he'd just revealed, not knowing he'd just shattered my world. I forced a smile. "That's silly, buddy. Must have misheard." But my eyes found Rebecca across the table. She was watching us. When she caught my gaze, her smile didn't reach her eyes. I looked at David, my son, the boy I raised. He was staring at his plate, pushing food around with his fork. The rest of the dinner passed in a blur. I watched them differently now. The way Rebecca's hand touched David's shoulder, the coded glance when I asked about their finances, the conversation that stopped when I walked into the kitchen for more water. I helped clear the dishes, hugged Tommy goodbye, drove home through streets decorated with Christmas lights. Inside my house, the house Margaret and I built 40 years ago, I sat in the dark living room. Tommy's words echoed in my head. "They're going to make you leave your house and take it." I'd raised David in this house. Margaret had died in the bedroom upstairs. Every wall held memories. Every room told our story. And my own son was planning to take it from me. I couldn't sleep that night. Around 2 a.m., I opened my laptop and searched for digital recorders. Found one with good reviews. Ordered it for next-day delivery. If Tommy had heard them talking, there would be more conversations to come. And this time, I'd be ready to hear every word. The recorder arrived December 11th. Small device, no bigger than a deck of cards. I tested it that afternoon. Crystal clear audio. Now I just needed to place it somewhere they'd never notice. David came by every Thursday evening, said he was checking in on Dad. I used to think it was sweet. Now I wondered what he was really checking on. Thursday, December 12th. 6 o'clock. David knocked and let himself in with his spare key. I'd hidden the recorder under the couch, positioned perfectly to catch conversation in the living room. "Hey, Dad, how are you doing?" "Good, son. Want some coffee?" We sat, we talked. Nothing unusual at first. Then David's phone buzzed. "It's Rebecca," he said, reading the text. His expression changed. "Actually, Dad, I wanted to talk to you about something." "Here it comes." "Your house is a lot for you to manage. 4 bedrooms, that big yard. Have you thought about downsizing?" I sipped my coffee slowly. "I like my house." "I know, but you're alone here. What if something happened? What if you fell?" "I'm 67, not 97. David shifted uncomfortably. "Rebecca and I have been looking at some really nice assisted living places. Not nursing homes, independent living communities. You'd have people around, activities, help if you need it. I don't need help." "Dad, please, just think about it." He left 20 minutes later. I waited until his car pulled away, then retrieved the recorder. I played it back twice. His voice sounded strained, like he was reading from a script someone else had written. The next visit was December 14th, unannounced. David and Rebecca both showed up. The recorder was ready. They sat on my couch. Rebecca did most of the talking. "Frank, we're worried about you. This house is too much. The stairs alone are dangerous at your age." I said nothing. "We found a beautiful community in Edina," she continued. "Saw it last week. They have studios and one-bedrooms, all on one floor. You'd love it." "I'm not moving." David leaned forward. "Dad, be reasonable. What happens in 5 years? 10? You can't maintain this place forever. It's paid off. I built it with your mother. I'm staying." Rebecca's smile tightened. "We're just trying to help." After they left, I listened to the recording. But this time, I caught something. Right before they got back in their car, I'd left the recorder running on the porch table. Their voices came through clearly. "He's not going to agree," David said. "Then we moved to Plan B," Rebecca replied. "I already talked to the attorney. Power of attorney doesn't require his consent if we can show he's not capable of managing his affairs." "Rebecca, David, that house is worth over $1 million. We're drowning in credit card debt. This is our only way out." Silence. Then David's voice quieter. "What about Dad?" "He'll be fine in assisted living. He doesn't need 4 bedrooms." The recording ended. I sat in my dark living room, staring at the small device in my hand. My son wasn't checking on me. He was measuring my house for sale. The next few days, I became a detective in my own life. December 16th. David came by to help with yard work. While he was outside, I searched his car, found a folder in the back seat. Inside, brochures for nursing homes, notes from meetings with elder care attorneys, a printed real estate estimate, 1847 Maple Street, estimated value 1.2 million. One document made my blood run cold, a partially filled power of attorney form, blank spaces for signatures, dated December 27th, 2 days after Christmas. I photographed everything with my phone, put it all back exactly as I found it. That evening, I called Margaret's friend Elizabeth Chen. She'd been an attorney for 40 years. "Frank, it's been too long," she said warmly. "How are you?" "I need legal advice, Elizabeth. It's about David." I told her everything. Tommy's whisper, the recordings, the documents. The line went quiet for a long moment. "Frank," she finally said, her voice serious, "what they're planning is elder financial abuse. If they try to force power of attorney or have you declared incompetent without cause, that's illegal." "Can they do it anyway?" "They can try, and if you're not prepared, they might succeed. These cases happen more often than you'd think. Adult children convincing doctors their elderly parents are confused, forgetful, incapable. They isolate them, control the narrative. What do I do?" "2 options. Confront them now, which gives them time to cover their tracks, or what? Or you make your own plans first. Remove what they're trying to take before they can take it." I thought about that all night. My house, Margaret's house, every memory we'd built together lived in these walls, but it was just a building. My son, that was different. David was my flesh and blood, but he'd chosen Rebecca's greed over his own father, some betrayals you can't come back from. By morning, I'd made my decision. If they wanted my house, they wouldn't get it. Nobody would. December 19th, 10 a.m. I sat in Elizabeth Chen's office with a plan that would change everything. "You want to sell the house?" she repeated, making sure she'd heard correctly. "Yes." "Frank, this is your home." "It's wood and brick, Elizabeth. Margaret's gone. The memories will come with me wherever I go." She studied my face. "You're sure about this?" "They're planning to take it December 27th. I closed December 26th, day after Christmas." Elizabeth made some calls. Within an hour, she'd connected me with a real estate investor named Marcus Webb. He specialized in quick closings. We met that afternoon. Marcus was younger than I expected, maybe 40. Professional, direct. "Mr. Thompson, I understand you need a fast sale." 7 days, I said. "Cash, no inspection, no contingencies." "That's very fast. May I ask why?" I showed him the documents, the power of attorney form, Rebecca's notes about selling the house. His expression darkened. "I see. And you want to prevent them from taking it." "I want to sell it before they can." "I can do $1.15 million close December 26th. You can stay through New Year's to pack your things." We shook hands. That evening, a for sale sign went up in my yard. Private listing, no public advertising. David called within an hour. Dad? What's the sign about? I'm selling the house. Silence on the line. You're… what? Why? You were right. It's too much house for me. Time to downsize. But you said you'd never sell. I changed my mind. Marcus Webb is buying it. We close next week. More silence. I could hear Rebecca's voice in the background, sharp and urgent. Dad, wait. Don't do anything hasty. Let's talk about this. Already done, son. Contracts are signed. I hung up. 20 minutes later, David and Rebecca were at my door. Rebecca's face was red. Frank, you can't sell the house without discussing it with us. Why not? It's my house. We had plans. She caught herself. I mean, we were going to help you find the right place. Found one already. Riverside Senior Living, independent apartments, signed the lease this morning. David looked stunned. Dad, this is crazy. You're making huge decisions without what? Without your permission? The words hung in the air. Rebecca tried a different approach, softened her voice. Frank, we're just concerned. These are big changes. Are you sure you're thinking clearly? There it was. The setup. The suggestion that maybe I wasn't competent to make my own decisions. I smiled. Crystal clear, Rebecca. Clearer than I've been in months. When do you close? David asked quietly. December 26th, the day after Christmas. Seems fitting, doesn't it? They left without another word. Through the window, I watched them argue in the driveway. Rebecca's hands moved sharply. David's shoulders slumped. I pulled out my recorder and checked the battery. The next few days would be the performance of my life. Pretending became my full-time job. December 22nd, Christmas Eve service at David's church. I arrived in my best suit, smiled at everyone, acted like everything was normal. Rebecca played her role too, the devoted daughter-in-law, touching my arm, laughing at my jokes, introducing me to friends as Frank, my wonderful father-in-law. All theater, all lies. But I'd become a good actor too. After the service, David pulled me aside. Dad, can we talk? Of course. We stepped into an empty Sunday school room. The house sale, he started. You're really going through with it? Closing tomorrow. Why? He ran his hand through his hair, looked exhausted. I wish you'd waited. Talk to us more. Why? The question seemed to throw him. Because we're your family. Exactly. You're my family. Which is why I find it strange that you've been meeting with attorneys about taking control of my assets. His face went white. How did you… I'm old, David, not stupid. He sat down heavily. Rebecca thought you could take my house and I'd never know until it was too late. Tell me, son, when were you planning to tell me? Before or after I signed the papers you had drawn up for December 27th? David couldn't meet my eyes. I'm sorry, he whispered. So am I. I left him sitting there and found Tommy in the fellowship hall, eating cookies. Grandpa, he hugged me tight. I knelt down to his level. Tommy, you know I love you, right? I love you too. Good, remember that, no matter what happens. He looked confused but nodded. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay in Margaret's bed, our bed, and looked at the ceiling we'd painted together 30 years ago. I'm doing the right thing, I whispered to her. Aren't I? The house was silent. December 23rd. I packed, one box at a time. Photos, books, Margaret's jewelry, the important things. I'd rented a storage unit the week before, made trips when David was at work. No one noticed the house slowly emptying. December 24th, Christmas Eve. David invited me for dinner. The tension in their house was thick enough to cut. Rebecca barely spoke to me. David kept checking his phone. Tommy sensed something was wrong. Kids always do. After dinner, Tommy opened his Christmas Eve present, a tradition in their house, one gift the night before, a book, The Velveteen Rabbit. Will you read it to me, Grandpa? We sat on the couch. I read about the toy rabbit who wanted to become real, about love and loss and what matters. Tommy fell asleep against my shoulder. I looked at David and Rebecca across the room. She was on her laptop. He was staring at nothing. I'm going to head home, I said quietly, moving Tommy to the couch cushions. Already? David asked. Big day tomorrow, Christmas and other things. Rebecca's eyes snapped up. She knew, somehow she knew. Frank, she said carefully. You know we only want what's best for you. I know exactly what you want, Rebecca. Her expression hardened. David, talk to him. But David said nothing. I drove home through empty streets. Christmas lights blinked in windows, families together, safe, happy. I parked in my driveway and looked at my house, the house that would belong to someone else in 24 hours. The for sale sign was gone. In its place, a large red and white sign, sold. Marcus had put it up early, part of the plan. I smiled. Tomorrow morning, David and Rebecca would drive by. They'd see it, and they'd understand that they'd lost. Have you ever watched someone realize they've been outmaneuvered? That the game they thought they were playing was already over? I was about to. Christmas morning. 8 a.m. I was in my kitchen, drinking coffee, when the pounding started. Dad, Dad! David's voice, frantic. I opened the door slowly. He stood on my porch, still in Omiru, his pajamas and winter coat. Rebecca was behind him, fully dressed, furious. What does that sign mean? David demanded. I looked past them at the sold sign in my yard. Means what it says. House is sold. When? Closed yesterday at 2 p.m. while you were carving the Christmas ham. Rebecca pushed past David. You can't do this. That's not legally binding. I pulled out my phone, showed them the wire transfer confirmation. $115 million deposited December 25th, 2:17 p.m. Marcus Webb, cash buyer. Very efficient. Her face went from red to white. You're lying. Call my attorney if you want. Elizabeth Chen. She handled the paperwork. David sank onto my porch steps. Dad, why? You mean why did I sell my house before you could steal it from me? We weren't going to steal. I pulled out my phone again, pressed play on a recording. Rebecca's voice filled the cold morning air. That house is worth over $1 million. We're drowning in credit card debt. This is our only way out. David's voice. What about Dad? Rebecca. He'll be fine in assisted living. He doesn't need 4 bedrooms. The recording ended. David looked at Rebecca like he'd never seen her before. You recorded us? Rebecca hissed. I documented everything, every conversation, every plan, every lie you told about me being incompetent. I pulled out printed documents, the power of attorney papers, the nursing home brochures, her notes about having me declared mentally unfit. You were going to have me committed, I said quietly. Lock me away so you could take everything. Frank, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. You saw an old man alone in a big house. You saw dollar signs. You saw your debt problem solved. David was crying now. Dad, I'm sorry. I never wanted, but you went along with it. You let her plan my destruction. You chose her greed over your own father. Where are you going to live? Rebecca demanded, switching tactics. You just made yourself homeless? I smiled. Actually, I have a lovely apartment waiting for me. Riverside Senior Living, independent living suite. Signed the lease 3 days ago. Move in January 2nd. You planned this, she whispered. Yes, just like you planned to take everything from me. Difference is, my plan was legal. Rebecca's hands were shaking. We'll sue. We'll contest the sale. We'll... On what grounds? That a competent 67-year-old man sold his own property? Good luck. The reality was setting in. I could see it in her eyes. They'd lost. Not just the house, not just the money. Their entire plan, their Florida dreams, their debt solution. Gone. Let me make something clear, I said. This house was never yours. The money was never yours. And I was never going to be your retirement fund. We needed that money, Rebecca said desperately. Then you should have earned it honestly. Not by drugging and discarding the man who raised the son you married. David's head snapped up. Drugging? I showed him another document. The competency evaluation you scheduled for me, December 27th. The psychiatrist Rebecca's friend lined up to declare me mentally unfit. Did you really think I wouldn't find out? That was for your safety. It was for my house. And now you don't get either. I stepped back inside. Marcus takes possession January the 2nd. I'll be out December 31st. If you'll excuse me, I have packing to finish. I closed the door. Through the window, I watched them stand on my porch. Rebecca was screaming. David was still crying. Finally, they left. I sat in my living room, Margaret's living room, and felt something I hadn't felt in months. Peace. The house was sold. The trap had sprung. Justice was mine. But the story wasn't over yet. David came back that evening, alone. He knocked softly. "Dad, can we talk?" I opened the door. He looked broken, eyes red, shoulders slumped. "Please," he said. I let him in. We sat in the living room, the same room where he'd played as a boy, where Margaret had read him bedtime stories, where we'd celebrated his college graduation. "I'm sorry," he began. "I know that's not enough. I know I betrayed you. But I need you to understand." "Understand what? That you were going to lock me in a nursing home? That you were going to steal my house? It wasn't supposed to be like that. Rebecca said it was for your own good. She said you were lonely, depressed, that you'd be happier with people around. And the $1,000,000 was just a coincidence." He flinched. "We are drowning in debt. She maxed out 6 credit cards I didn't even know about. We're going to lose everything. So you decided to take everything from me instead?" Silence. I pulled out the digital recorder. "You want to understand, David? Listen. I played it all, every recording, every conversation Rebecca had when she thought no one was listening. Her plans to have me declared incompetent, her calculations about how much the house would sell for, her excitement about the Florida condo, her dismissal of David's concerns. Your father won't even remember us in 6 months once we get him on the right medications." The right medications. To keep me docile, confused, manageable. David's face grew paler with each recording. "I didn't know," he whispered. "I knew about the house sale, but I didn't know about the rest, the incompetency hearing, the medications. God, Dad, I didn't know." "You knew enough." He broke down completely then, sobbing. "What have I done? Mom would be so ashamed of me." "Yes," I said quietly. "She would be." We sat in silence for a long time. Finally, David looked at me. "What happens now?" "Now you figure out who you are, son. A man who protects his father or a man who betrays him for money. I want to protect you. I want to make this right." "Then start by telling me the truth. How much debt are we talking about?" He hesitated. Then, $180,000. Credit cards, medical bills from when Tyler was born, Rebecca's shopping. I've been working 60-hour weeks trying to keep up, but we can't even make minimum payments anymore. And Rebecca's solution was my house. She said it was temporary, that we'd pay you back, that you'd understand. Did you ever once think to just ask me for help?" The question hung between us. "I was ashamed," he admitted. "I'm your son. I'm supposed to have my life together. I'm supposed to take care of my family, not come begging to my father." "Pride," I said. "Rebecca used your pride against you, made you think stealing was better than asking." "I'm sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry." I looked at my son, really looked at him. He was still the boy I'd raised, flawed, weak when it came to his wife, but not evil. Not like Rebecca. "The house is sold," I said. "That's done. But there's something else you need to know." I handed him another folder. Inside, bank statements, Rebecca's hidden accounts, credit card bills he'd never seen. 43,000 at Nordstrom, 28,000 at designer boutiques, 15,000 at spas and salons. "David, your debt isn't from Tyler's medical bills. It's from Rebecca living like a millionaire on your factory salary." His hands shook as he read through the statements. "She's been lying to you too," I said gently. "About everything." A knock at the door interrupted us. Elizabeth Chen stood on my porch. "Frank, ready?" I nodded, turned to David. "I need you to leave now. Tomorrow, meet me at Elizabeth's office at 10 a.m. Come alone." "Why?" "Because I'm going to help you, son, one last time, but on my terms." He left without another word. That night I finished packing Margaret's photos, wrapped them carefully in newspaper, placed them in boxes marked with her name. Tomorrow, everything would change again. But this time, I'd be the one writing the ending. December 27th, Elizabeth Chen's office, 10 a.m. sharp. David arrived alone, as I'd asked. He looked like he hadn't slept. Elizabeth sat behind her desk, professional and serious. "David, your father wanted me here for this conversation." I slid a document across the table. "Read it." It was a financial analysis Elizabeth had prepared, every purchase Rebecca had made in the last 2 years, every lie about their debt. "She spent $180,000, I said, but only $22,000 was legitimate family expenses. The rest, Designer clothes, jewelry, a secret savings account in her name only. David stared at the numbers. She was planning to leave you, Elizabeth added. After the house sold, after she got the money. We found divorce papers in her email, already drafted. She was going to file in Florida. The words hit him like punches. The nursing home plan for your father was just the first step. Get his money, disappear, leave you with nothing. David couldn't speak. I pulled out one more document. This is what I'm offering. A loan, $50,000, interest-free, 5-year repayment plan. Dad, it's enough to clear your legitimate debts, medical bills, car payments, not enough to fund Rebecca's lifestyle. I can't take your money. It's not a gift. It's a loan. You'll sign papers, make payments, and there's a condition. He looked up. You divorce Rebecca immediately. You get full custody of Tommy, and you never, ever let her near me or my grandson again. His voice broke. She's my wife. No, she's your parasite. She was going to destroy both of us for a Florida condo. David closed his eyes. What about Tommy? Tommy needs his father, his real father, the man I raised, not the man who was willing to betray his own family. Silence filled the office. Finally, David signed the loan papers, then the divorce filing. His hands shook the whole time. Thank you, he whispered. Don't thank me. Earn it back. Be the father Tommy deserves. Be the man your mother believed you could be. He nodded, stood, paused at the door. Dad, where did the house money go? The $1.15 million? I smiled. Somewhere Rebecca can never touch it. After he left, Elizabeth raised an eyebrow. Are you going to tell him? Eventually, when he's ready to hear it. The truth was simple. Marcus Webb wasn't just a real estate investor. He was a trustee for charitable foundations. The house sale was real, but the money had been redirected. $400,000 into a trust for Tommy's education, $200,000 to the Alzheimer's Association in Margaret's memory, $100,000 to domestic abuse prevention programs. The rest? My retirement, my apartment, my freedom. Rebecca would never see a penny, and David would learn to build his life on his own terms. January 2nd, moving day. Tommy helped me carry boxes into my new apartment at Riverside Senior Living. It wasn't big, just 2 rooms and a kitchen, but the windows faced east, catching morning sun. Grandpa, this is nice, Tommy said, looking around. It is, isn't it? We unpacked together. He was careful with Margaret's photos, handling them like treasures. Grandpa? Why did Mom leave? I'd been expecting the question. Sometimes adults make bad choices. Your mom chose money over people, over you and your dad. Will she come back? No, buddy, she won't. He thought about that. Good. She was mean to you. Kids see the truth faster than adults do. We hung pictures on the walls, set up my books on shelves, made the space feel like home. At 3 p.m., we walked to the community room. Riverside had a weekly event, coffee and cards. I introduced Tommy to my new neighbors. Helen, 72, former teacher. Robert, 69, retired firefighter. Susan, 74, widow like me. They welcomed us warmly. Your grandfather talks about you all the time, Helen told Tommy. Really? Every day. Says you're the smartest 8-year-old in Minnesota. Tommy beamed. David came to pick him up at 5 p.m. He looked better, rested, like a weight had lifted. How's the apartment? He asked. Perfect, come see. He walked through slowly, touching things, remembering. Mom's paintings, he said, seeing Margaret's watercolors on the walls. Couldn't leave those behind. Dad, I started counseling. Court ordered for the divorce, but I'm going voluntarily too. Working through some things. Good. And I'm taking classes at night. Business management, trying to move up at the factory. Even better, he turned to me. I know I can't undo what I did, but I'm going to spend the rest of my life making it up to you and to Tommy. I know you will, son. That night, after they left, I sat in my new living room, smaller than what I'd had, but mine. Safe. Chosen. I thought about Margaret, wondered what she'd think of all this. I did it, I whispered to her memory. I protected our home, protected Tommy, even protected David, though he didn't deserve it. The apartment was quiet, but not lonely. Tomorrow I'd volunteer at the Alzheimer's Association. share my story with other families, help them recognize the warning signs of elder abuse. The money from the house, Margaret's house, would fund research, education, prevention. Her legacy would help people she'd never meet, and I'd spend my remaining years surrounded by friends, visited by family who actually wanted to see me, and finally at peace. Rebecca tried to steal my home. Instead, she gave me a reason to build something better. Sometimes the worst betrayals lead to the greatest transformations. 3 months passed. Spring arrived. Tommy visited every Sunday. We read together, played checkers, talked about school. David came monthly, slowly rebuilding trust. He'd paid back 3 of the loan, ahead of schedule. Rebecca sent one letter from her mother's house in Arizona. David threw it away unopened. One Saturday in March, Tommy brought me a drawing he'd made at school. Our family tree, Margaret at the top, me and her branching down to David, David branching to Tommy. No Rebecca. Teacher said to draw your real family, Tommy explained, the people who stay. I hung it on my refrigerator. That evening, I sat on my small balcony, watching the sunset. The Riverside community buzzed around me. Helen was leading a book club. Robert was teaching poker. Susan was organizing a garden project. I'd lost my house, but I'd gained a life worth living. And sometimes, that's the real victory. If you believe family should protect each other, not scheme to steal everything for money, hit that subscribe button. Which means Rebecca was wrong. Comment: elder abuse is never okay if you stand with Frank and everyone who's ever been betrayed by their own family. Only people like Rebecca, who drug and discard their own father-in-law for a Florida condo, would scroll past without engaging. Hit like if you can't stand manipulators who pretend to care while plotting to destroy you. This story needs to reach families who might be facing the same thing. And remember, the best revenge isn't anger. It's protecting yourself before they can strike. Frank proved that. Now let's make sure his lesson reaches someone who needs it.